Hey nerds, it's Isla. I'm back. I've got Justin again with me. We're playing an 800 point battle report, and it is on my Runs of Dog table. We're playing to the death, and we are playing Vanquishers of the Necromancer versus Rise of the Necromancer Legendary Legions. So it's going to be interesting, and we'll get to the lists. It's pretty low model count, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so here is 800 points of the Vanquishers of the Necromancer. Pretty self-explanatory. Gandalf, Elrond with heavy armor and his sword, had a fang, and Saruman, Galadriel, Lady of Light, and Radagast the Brown, and that is the 800 point Vanquishers of the Necromancer. Okay, here's Justin's 800. We'll go from left to right, starting over here.
So yeah, we've got 3 Castellans, one with a Morgul blade, the Necromancer, Camille, Lingering Shadow, Dark Headsman, and the Keeper of the Dungeons. And then another 3 Castellans, one with a Morgul blade.
That's that center guy there with a Morgul. Alright, there's Justin's 800. We'll roll some dice. We've already rolled up to the death, so we'll just get to priority and we'll start deploying and we'll go. Okay, Justin won the roll for deployment. So yeah, he dropped his warband here, Dark Headsman, 3 Castellans, the Morgul blade one up front, Camille, and the Necroman, the Keeper, and then yeah, 3 more Castellans, Morgul blade guide in the middle, and then the Lingering Shadow, and that's Justin's deployment. Coming across to me, because we had single drop deployments, it ended up being really quick. I just deployed over here on the other side of the ruins, so we're facing down each other, and I think there's going to be a nice melee in the middle to try and get our points. We'll be back after movement. Okay, so my first turn, everyone moved up here, and Saruman cast Terrifying Aura on a 2+, and he rolled it with his free point of will, and yep, now I have a Terror Bubble on me, which is awesome. Justin's moving up, and we'll get back to you at the end of his movement. Okay, so Justin's moved up, Lingering Shadow did his front move at the beginning of the turn, and moved up 3, and then he finished moving 6, so he's right at the front there. And then, yeah, everyone else just moved forward, and we're back to priority. Let's roll it on camera. 2 for the White Council, and 5 for the Necromancer. So, we'll be back at the end of the next turn. Okay, so, ended up doing a bit of damage this turn, so Justin won the priority. He shuffled forward everything, Lingering Shadow, he yeeted himself up the board 9 inches, which is nice. And then, yeah, we ended up managing to get off with Saruman. He did his Commanding Aura, so now we passed Terror Test within 6 of him. And he moved forward into this gap, Sorceress Blast this guy into his buddy, knocked him over. Gandalf compelled him forward first, and then then Saruman Sorceress blasted him forward, and yeah, knocked his buddy over, and the guy that's in the front, he ended up taking a wound from Strength 5 hit. He spent 3 fate to stop it, and his buddy didn't take any damage. And then Galadriel came up to the same area around here, cast Banishment on the guy that's in front lying down, and got it off successfully. The resistant magic failed, and then yeah, he had to spend another 5 fate to stop it, so he's down to 4 will left. So not looking good for him already. And yeah, that was the end of the move. I just sort of shuffled around, and yeah, that was the end of the turn, and we'll be back after the next one. Okay, so we're back at the end of the turn. So Sauron tried to get a compel on Saruman when he was still here, and he failed to cast because Saruman resisted. He had to spend a point of will and his own, but he resisted on a 4+. Justin rolled a 5+, but he gets +1 for Are You in Need of Assistance? And then we also had I think it was Gandalf compelled the Lingering Shadow forward. Elrond and Radagast managed to charge him. Elrond 2-handed, and Radagast joined the combat. And yeah, Elrond had a +2 to wound, so did 3 wounds to the Lingering Shadow. And yeah, poofed him, so now there's a marker there. And Radagast called combat, so they yeeted back away here. And also Galadriel, she moved up too, got in line of sight of the guy that's taken the wounds, and she ended up doing one more wound, but he faded it. So now he only has one wheel left. And yeah, and we've run away like good Vanquishers do. And we'll engage again next turn. So let's roll for priority. Alright, so yeah, did a big gamble here. Justin ended up trying to, your staff has broken Gandalf. Gandalf ended up having to spend 2 might to stop it because he rolled 2 dice to resist and only got a 3 high, so that's not great. Over here we had a big ploy. Saruman ended up compelling this guy out of the way. Gandalf ended up compelling this guy out of the way. And then Saruman also spent his second spell to immobilize the Necromancer, which he successfully did. And then we charged up with Ratty and Elrond. Ratty tried to call a combat, and they were successful almost. They got him down to 1 wheel left. And then, yeah, he didn't pop, so that's very unfortunate because we were going to try and go through and combat into the Necromancer. So, yeah, that is the end of that turn. And we'll be back at the next one. Okay, where to start? Well, I ended up banishing one of the Castellans with 1 wound remaining, and then didn't do any compels or anything to Sauron. And yeah, failed to compel the Lingering Shadow with Saruman, and Elrond got compelled forward, and Lingering Shadow and a Castellan went in, and Necromancer cast Steer the Shadows on him, so Elrond lost the fight, took 3 wounds, and passed all of his fate. So he's got no fate remaining, no might remaining, and 1 will remaining. And Ratty ended up doing a Nature's Wrath as they ran away as part of the heroic move that Gandalf called. And yeah, dropped Lingering Shadow and 2 Castellans, but then they got back up. And yeah, that is the end of the turn. We'll be back at the end of the next one. Yeah. So this is the end of the game. I'm calling it here. Had like 3 consecutive really terrible turns. Just 1 priority over me. Failed to do my heroic go through and stuff. And yeah, ended up my blunder didn't work, and failed most of my spells, and Justin passed most of his spells, and just ended up being a shit fight. So yeah, calling it there. So yeah, Castellan, the Dumbledores ended up getting the upper hand. Should have not gone for that gambit, really. I should have played it safe and retreated. That's sort of my point of view on where it is. But yeah, a bunch of stuff happened, and I'm not even going to bother explaining it because I'm just sort of over it. So yeah, it's just demoralizing. I know how Bernie felt last game when I was rolling really well, and then he was rolling really bad, and I just pushed through him, and yeah, same thing happened to me.
Liveth by the dice, dieth by the dice.
That's it. But yeah, I tried to play Gambit and didn't work out, and I should know better. But hey, we play for fun here, and it would have been cool if I managed to snipe out the Necroman, and I did all the right things to get there. It just happened that Justin rolled extremely well and should not have rolled that well to save that Castellan, and yeah, that's where we got. That's sort of where I feel it fell over for me, was just failing that Gambit. Because it just put me way out of position. I should have just kept everyone together and kept pushing back, because we were talking about it after the end of our last game, which you guys won't see because we didn't film that one, so you're welcome for that. But yeah, no, I think we were talking about it before, and they definitely work better all together, holding it out. But yeah, Justin played very well too. I'm not discounting what Justin did. Justin played perfectly, and then as well as supported by the dice. Always works well, but you always have to play not to be supported by the dice and yeah, get trashed. But how do you feel about that, Justin?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Sort of when I was getting bombarded by magic and you were retreating, it was a bit
That was the whole game plan until I saw that opening with the Necromancer, and I'm like, I'm gonna do these compels and get through.
In the end, I knew once I got into combat, it'd swing back in my favour, so yeah, I did try to leave my Necromancer a bit open and sort of hope he'd try and rush him.
Yeah.
Because,
bit of bait, and it worked, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's the leader, he's the linchpin of the army. Without him, it falls apart very quickly, so...
Yeah.
Sort of a bit of a gamble of just, I need to try and coerce you to fight me, because...
Well, that was my idea. Was like, I'm just gonna try get in combat, do as many wins as possible. If I kill him, great. If I get him down to a lot of, like, very little will, then I can, like, retreat back, hopefully reform, and then just try and banish him to death with Galadriel and just keep throwing that 3+ banish.
A lot of resources to get where I did, like all his might, over half his will. But yeah, and then once I sort of closed in combat, that Shroud of Shadows spell is incredible.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just being able to halve fight and attack values.
Yeah,
is just
definitely.
amazing.
Combining it with like the Castellan and Kmul and that in the ring race, and I think running 3 ring race and then backing up with Castellans, like you get your 9 spirit models in there. Like it's almost like the Castellans are stand-in for the other ring race in this list. I feel when I was looking at your list, I was like, yeah, I can see what you're doing with that, and it's a good way to get the Necromancer in and 9 spirit models and the Keeper as well. So yeah, you did really well.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'd like to see how the Witch King would go on this list, to be honest. But I'm just curious about how the Witch King plays.
Really
like,
adds another might point, and that's it.
Doesn't he get the extra attack and stuff, or no, nothing extra?
Gets the extra attack.
Yeah, but he's got the 2-hand. But
like an extra might point is good, but
I know people shit on Kamal for the 2-hand, but like
I think he's great
if
with
you
3 attacks.
Yeah, and then you get that Steed of Shadows off as well, and you're higher fighting them. And, yeah, this, that, the other, and no, it works well. And teaming him up with the Keeper like you did really works.
Oh, they're a great hit squad, because with the +1 to wound, they just rip through stuff together. I always pair them together.
Yeah.
Like that, it's always good. Never fails with Shroud of Shadows supporting them.
Awesome. Well, I'll give you one more quick look at the table before we leave you with that. Yeah, thanks for the game, Justin. Yeah, got very tricky at the end there, but yeah, that was definitely, I made that gambit, and that was just where I fell over, and after that, I was just like, yeah, no, this is going to go badly. So, yeah, you can kind of tell when my tone of voice changed in the video when I'm like, yeah, nah, fuck this. Okay, see you in the next one, guys. See ya.
Nice.